Let's talk about some substantive issues out there. Puerto Rico right now, they are defaulting on $400 million. If you were president of the United States, what would you do to help the people in Puerto Rico?
Well, the problem we have is we have 19 trillion in debt. We have a country that's in such trouble. So we have 19 trillion going up, as you know, to 21 trillion in a very short period of time because of the horrible omnibus budget, and I think really they have to solve the problem.
Should the U.S. bail out Puerto Rico?
No, I don't believe they should. I don't believe they should. And I think, frankly, Puerto Rico is better if they don't, because they'll cut the bonds, they'll cut them way down. They have far too much debt. I mean, the problem with Puerto Rico, they have far, far too much
debt.
They
can't even use
Don't forget, I'm the king of debt. I love debt.
They're prevented from using the bankruptcy laws, Puerto Rico, as opposed to all the U.S. states.
So what are
You've used those
They
bankruptcy laws over the years.
I'm the king of I understand
You
that.
understand that.
Well,
should Puerto Rico get an
understand,
opportunity to use the bankruptcy laws?
As a very successful person, I would buy companies, throw them into a chapter, bankrupt it, negotiate. I would do great deals. I didn't use them for myself. I used them as a business person, like others do. I mean, many of the top people in my category use the laws. I know more about debt than practically anybody. I love debt. I also love reducing debt, and I know how to do it better than anybody. I will tell you, Puerto Rico has too much debt. So you can't just restructure. You have to use the laws. You have to cut the debt way down and get back to business, because they can't survive with the kind of debt they have. So, no, I would not bail out if I were in that position. I wouldn't bail them out.
Would you let them have a bankruptcy option?
Well, they're going to have no choice, because if they're not going to pay the bill, they're not going to pay the bill. I mean, if they're not going to pay their interest on their bonds,
they can't.
They can't. You can't. You know the expression, can't take it out of the grape, right? If they don't have it. So if they don't have money, they can't pay the interest, whether they officially declare or not. But ultimately, what they have to do is cut the debt way down. They're never going to pay that debt off. They have to cut it way down. And the United States is going to be in that position very soon, because they have too much debt.
Let's talk about U.S.-Russian relations for a moment. In the past few weeks, on 2 occasions, Russian fighter jets barrel-rolled U.S. military facilities.
Lack of respect.
Lack of respect.
For the United States.
If you were
and
president, what would you tell Putin?
I would call him and I'd say, don't do it again. I would say, don't do it again. And I think I'll have a good relationship with him. So far, we're off to a good start. He said Trump is a genius, okay? I think I'll have a good relationship.
Have you ever met with him? Have you ever spoken with him?
I don't want to say. But I think I'll have a good relationship with him. Now, I may not, and I'll know pretty quickly. But I would call him. I'd say, don't ever do it again. Don't ever do that again.
You've seen those pictures.
Yeah, I've seen them. I think it's highly disrespectful to our military and to our country and to our president.
Let's talk about U.S. relations with the Muslim world right now. In your foreign policy speech the other day, very detailed speech, you said you want to work, and I'm quoting you now, very closely with our allies in the Muslim world, all of which are at risk from radical Islamic violence.
100%. They have to save themselves, and we can help them, but they have to save themselves.
So
they have to put boots on the ground, and they have to save themselves. Otherwise, they are going to be, I won't even say, but bad things will happen.
So how are you going to work closely with our allies in the Muslim world if you still want this temporary ban on Muslims coming to the United States until the U.S. can figure out what's going on in this war on terror?
Whether or not we have a temporary ban, or whether we work over in the Middle East with our Muslim friends, and I have Muslim friends.
Do you still
I have
want
Muslim
this
friends.
temporary
By the way, I just had one left my office, a very successful person from the Middle East, just looked at me and said, Donald, what you're doing is so right. You're informing the world of a problem that we have to solve.
So he agrees with you that all Muslims should be banned?
Many Muslims do. Many Muslims do.
Because I've spoken with a lot of Muslim leaders. King Abdullah of Jordan, who's a close friend of the United States, as you well know, and other moderate Muslim leaders in the Arab world, elsewhere.
And a good person and a good man.
He's a very good person, very good man. Queen Rania is a very lovely lady.
They're friends of my daughter Ivanka.
I'm sure they are. When they hear you talk like that, they get upset. They're Muslims.
I don't know. I mean, look, I don't know. We have a problem. And I'll tell you, we have a really big problem where we're letting in thousands and thousands of people supposedly from Syria, but we have no idea where they're coming from. We have no idea. The migration is a disaster. We're letting in thousands of people. They don't have documentation. They don't have paperwork. Nobody knows who they are, where they come from, and they're coming into this country.
So you're sticking with this temporary ban?
Until we figure out what's going on. We have to be very tough. We have to be very vigilant. Yes.
What about another sensitive issue, Japan and South Korea? You suggested maybe it's time
Not sensitive. It's
to
not a sensitive
let
issue.
them develop their own nuclear arsenal and get the U.S. out of there.
To me, it's not a sensitive issue.
Why
Look,
isn't that sensitive?
I have great relationships with South Korea. I have buildings in South Korea. I have great relationships with Japan and in Japan. But our government, and a lot of people don't even know this, you know, when I make speeches, I say we protect Germany, we protect Japan, we protect South Korea. You know, many people, sophisticated people in the audience, they didn't even know that. They have to help us. We don't get reimbursed for what this massive amount of work and energy and weaponry, what it's costing. We can't continue to do it. This isn't 40 years ago. This isn't when we were much different as a country. They have to take care of us. Now, I think they will. If they don't, you have to be prepared to walk. You always have to be prepared to walk from a deal, including the Iran deal, which is a disaster. They should have walked.
But you're ready to let Japan and South Korea become nuclear powers?
I am prepared to, if they're not going to take care of us properly, we cannot afford to be the military and the police for the world. We are right now the police for the entire world. We are policing the entire world. You know, when people look at our military and they say, oh, wow, that's fantastic, they have many times, you know, we spend many times what any other country spends on the military. But it's not really for us. We're defending other countries. So all I'm saying is this, they have to pay. And you know what? I'm prepared to walk. And if they have to defend themselves against North Korea, we have a maniac over there. In my opinion, if they don't take care of us properly, if they don't respect us enough to take care of us properly, then you know what's going to have to happen, Will? Very simple. They're going to have to defend
Because the other
themselves.
day, the U.S. military commander in South Korea, General Vincent Brooks, he testified up on Capitol Hill. He said South Korea pays for 50% of the personnel costs for U.S. troops.
How much percent?
50%.
50. Why not 100%?
He also says that it would be more expensive to keep U.S. troops here in the U.S. than to keep them on bases in South Korea.
Okay, well, I mean, maybe you don't need them, okay? Maybe you don't need them. Look, we're policing all of these countries. They're not paying us. We're policing Saudi Arabia. We are protecting Saudi Arabia. I have many friends in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia would not be there, Wolf. It wouldn't be there maybe for a month if we took our military out. The only reason they're sort of protected, and they're totally protected, is because we're protecting them. Saudi Arabia was making $1 billion a day when the oil price was high. Now they're still making a fortune. Why aren't they paying us?
So basically what I hear you saying, if the U.S. is going to keep troops in Japan, and there's thousands of them, tens of thousands in Korea, 28,000 in Korea, or Germany for that matter. You want the host countries to pick up all the expense.
Of course they should pick up all the expense. Why are we paying for this? I mean, we are paying to protect them, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's good. I'd rather do it rather than have them arm. I would rather do it. And, you know, it was covered actually accurately in the New York Times, very accurately. And they covered it because they talked the cost. A lot of people like to say, oh, Trump wants Japan to arm. I don't want them to arm. I want them to reimburse us for at least the cost. Now, you could say it's worth more than that, but at least reimburse us for the cost. When you say we pay 50%, well, if we say we pay 50%, that means we pay less, okay? But we're losing a tremendous amount of money. And we have a military that's not in good shape anymore. You know that. Everybody knows that. And we have to do something about it.
Another military question. The former Defense Secretary, Robert Gates, who's a Republican, he said your lack of understanding of the complexities of international affairs is worrisome. And then he added this: you don't understand the difference between a business negotiation and a negotiation with sovereign powers.
Well, I don't think Gates understands. And he was also very disloyal to numerous people that he worked for. You know, I don't like people that go out and write books and criticize everything. So I don't think he understands, and I don't think he understands the word loyalty. And frankly, I really believe I understand it much better than he does. And our country right now is a debtor nation. We cannot go around subsidizing Japan, which is a behemoth economically with the cars and everything. Germany, South Korea, you can't order a television set unless you go through South Korea. You can't order, I mean, the ships are made now, and it's an economic behemoth. We cannot continue to subsidize all of these countries when we're a debtor nation. We're a debtor nation. Now, I will have great relationships, far better than we have right now. Look at the relationship we have with China. They're ripping off the United States. They're taking its money. They're ruining our jobs. They're ruining so much. And yet they build a military fortress, a massive military fortress, in the middle of the South China Sea. They're not supposed to be doing that. They have no respect for our country.
And you say
yet,
that will change if you're president.
they will respect our country, and they'll like our country better than they do now.
Let's talk about some important domestic policy
Okay.
issues. American workers, you say they deserve to earn more money, right?
Yeah. I want them to earn more money.
So Bernie Sanders says he wants $15 an hour minimum wage. And he has really gone after you lately for saying you're happy with $7.25, the current federal minimum wage. You can't live on $7.25 an hour.
And I'm actually looking at that because I'm very different from most Republicans. I mean, you have to have something that you can live on. But what I'm really looking to do is get people great jobs so they make much more money than that. So they make more money than the $15. Now, if you start playing around too much with the lower level number, you're not going to be competitive.
Hillary Clinton says she's ready to go to $12. Bernie Sanders says 15.
I know she's doing that
Give me a
because
number.
she
If
is
you were
being
president,
broad.
what would you recommend?
No, I'm looking at it, but I
But
don't
you're
like.
open to raising the minimum wage.
I'm open to doing something with it because I don't like that. But what I really do like is bring our jobs back so they're making much more than
Because
the $15.
if you want some of those Bernie Sanders supporters out there, and I know you want
I think
them
I'll get 'em.
in a general election, let's
think
say
I'll get
against
'em.
Hillary, you're going to have to do something about issues like that.
Well, I told you how I feel. I'm going to bring jobs back to this country. Nobody can do that like I can do it. I understand what's going wrong. Hillary doesn't have a clue. Bernie Sanders is a socialist, or more than that. He could be beyond a socialist. I mean, I'm looking, but it doesn't matter.
But you want
because-
his supporters.
Yeah, I think I'll get a lot of his supporters. Do you know in the last election that I won in a landslide in New York, the Democrats went in, they all wanted to vote for Trump. The people at the polling booth said, this is the most incredible thing we've seen. Now, you couldn't do it because it was a closed system. But the Democrats went in and they said to the people that run the polling booths, it was all over television, local television, they said, we want to vote for Trump. They didn't want to vote for Hillary. They wanted to vote for Trump. When the election comes, they're going to be voting for me.